and welcome along to Mondo Chelloveck Movies. My name is John, and after seeing that this movie came out in 4K, and it's meant to look pretty good as well, considering what this movie is, I thought it must be that pretty much everything is fair game for 4K. Now that's great to hear because I think, and it was the same with Blu-ray, when Blu-ray first started off, these type of movies never got a look in. Then these sort of creeped into it and they all got Blu-ray releases. And now these ones are getting the 4K releases. Now that's great to hear. If they can do a good remaster, that is. And I thought, how many other ones, some obscure horror films, sort of. So, speaking of low budget trash, how about this one? Zombie Lake. This movie is so terrible, it's absolutely amazing. The premise of this movie, if there is one, in a timeline, and this makes no sense, that these Nazis come into this French village and the people of the village do kill these zombies and throw them in the lake. And years later, they come back and haunt this village. But one of the there's loads of weird stuff in this, but one of the weird things is that one of these Nazi generals, he actually has a child when they go into the village the first time, and when he goes back to this village as a zombie, the daughter immediately knows who he is, and they have like a kind of father-daughter relationship, walking around holding hands and stuff like that. And she doesn't blink an eye, this girl. And the thing is, though, she's only 8, so how can she be 8 when this is from 1980 and it was from 1945 was the... Anyway, I've had the DVD of this, and the DVD looked really good, and it was very clean as well. Now, this one looks pin sharp. It's one of the best Blu-rays you'll ever see, but there's a lot of dirt on the actual film, a lot of scratches. So if this can be remastered in the best way, this one would look absolutely stunning. And as a movie, as a comedy horror, an intentional comedy horror, it's one of the best. So that's Zombie Lake. So speaking of trash, what about street trash? This one, I've always liked this movie, and it's one of those ones. It's shot outside for most of the movie, and it benefits for it. The picture quality on here, and actually the movie itself, it's a bit like it's got some great camera work. The bloke who shot this one, I think he's called Jim Muro, I think he's called. He actually went on. He's a big hitter in Hollywood now. He does loads and loads of stuff on loads of great movies, highbrow movies these days, and it's a great filmographer, and he started on this one, and you can tell he's going places. But again, the picture, when I put this on Blu-ray, because I thought I hadn't had it on DVD, and I thought looked all right. I put this on here, and I thought I can't believe how good this looks. It looks sensational. Now I don't know what this is. Is it 16mm? I'm not too sure. But what I would say is, if this can get the 4K treatment, which it should do because it's quite a good cult classic. Now we're talking about cult classics here. And this is one of the best ones for me. It's got some great effects in it. This street trash is just these people who live in this, well, I can say in a scrapyard. Basically, it's just about their life story. There's more to it than that, but it's got some amazing effects in here, very over the top. So yeah, so picture quality A1, so that would look amazing on 4K. Now, if they can get Bloodsucking Freaks, which did look trash on the Blu-ray, kind of, to get to this level, and obviously Zombie Lake looks insane, this can look good as well. So that's street trash. So speaking of bad movies, what about this? Edwood. It's not a bad movie, but it's about a bad movie maker called Edwood, obviously. And this film is filmed in black and white, and it's also a Tim Burton movie. And the picture quality on here is absolutely amazing. It doesn't get talked about as much as most of his other stuff. I think it's probably because it's in black and white, but it benefits from black and white, and the black levels on this Blu-ray are absolutely insane. So for me, if this was getting the 4K treatment, I think it would look that much better. And obviously it's pin sharp as well. So this one, I love black and white movies on 4K, and this one would be one of the best ones, I think, because Tim Burton has that eye for cinematography that I think not many people have. And this one looks so good on Blu-ray. It would look amazing on 4K, and black and white movies on 4K do look kind of more like it's got a different look to it. It's just really sensational because of the black levels that it can achieve in a black and white movie. So, speaking of Edward, what about his movie, Plan 9 from Outer Space? Weirdly enough, this is filmed in black and white, but this is colorized. I think this was released in 2006. This is said it's the most extensive restoration ever, and it looks really good actually. This is awful, basically, but it's so good. The ineptitude of Edwood can't be underestimated. I feel sorry for him actually that he's become famous for being so bad, but in a way, at least he wanted to become famous and he has become famous, you know. And I do think there's a lot of great movies from Ed Wood that would really fit a good box set. But the way they've done this restoration, and this color restoration, which is one of the best colorizations I've ever seen. In fact, if you didn't know, you would think this was actually color. They've done an amazing job. I don't really, I usually go for the black and white ones, but the color on here does sort of make this movie look better. And obviously the print looks better on the colorization as well, which doesn't really happen ever. It always looks a bit softer, but it doesn't in this one. And it probably is the best known, worst ever movie of all time. So that's Plan 9 from Outer Space. Speaking of outer space, what about this one? Extraterrestrial. Now, the reason I thought about this one, I got this from a pound from One Below. Can you believe it? And I thought, I'll get it and just watch it and see what it's all about. So you might say, how on earth would this get 4K release? Because it's really obscure and probably it's £1 in One Below. So who on earth would want to buy it or release it? What I'm saying is that this is kind of like a bit of a fantasy video to say it would be great to see these movies on 4K. Now, the reason why I picked this one was because this was filmed in 6.5K, and the picture quality on here, it blows most 4Ks out of the water. I couldn't believe it when I saw it because I was expecting some kind of low budget trash, which was what I was after. Now, actually, this is not like that. It has got low budgetness about it. There's a lot more to it, and the picture quality and the black levels on here are like nothing I've ever seen on a Blu-ray, which is weird because you think, why did they do 6.5K for this movie? I just don't understand it. But if you're ever knocking around and you see this for like literally no money in CX, do pick it up because you will be blown away by the picture quality of it. But I do think that the 4K on here, it should be, I mean, if they've got a 6.5 transfer, it'll be easy to get 4K off it. But it might be pie in the sky, and some of these movies are pie in the sky, but it's just me looking through the shelves and thinking, well, why not? Why not give these a 4Ks a go if you give them Blood-Sucking Freaks, which has got a big cult following? This probably hasn't, but it would be a great movie to see on 4K because it looks spectacular on Blu-ray. Speaking of obscure movies that no one's ever heard of or no one ever talks about, what about The Revenant? No, not that one. Yeah, this is, if you think of Dead Heat, you're halfway there. This is a great movie. It's one that's it's like comedy horror, and you've got this fella who's he's their partners as cops, and this cop gets murdered early on. Well, no spoilers. He's dead at the start of the movie. He's dead all the way through it, and he comes back from the grave. And with it gets his original partner who can't believe that he's like standing there because he says, "I just buried you last week," and he comes back as this zombie to help his to friend out as to be a policeman again, kind of. He's going to investigate his own death. But this movie is so like over the top. The special effects in here are great, and it's really, really gory. And it's a great zombie movie that just nobody ever seems to talk about, but really good. And the picture quality is stunning as again. All these movies have got some good picture quality about them. So I think they could easily make the 4K jump. Will they make the 4K jump? That's the other thing, because this is a movie that I do think that this could, because if it gets picked up by the right person, 88, I'm going to say, could make a good release of this movie and give it the exposure it deserves, because it's kind of been languishing in the kind of bargain bins. But it shouldn't do, because it's got a lot more to it than, the ones that you see in there. This one stands out leaps and bounds, but nobody really ever talks about it. But it's a really solid, Michael.
Where's me ladders?
It's a really solid zombie horror buddy cop movie. So that's The Revenant. So speaking of movies that nobody's ever heard of, and this will never get a 4K, but I would love it to get a 4K, is Double Date. This is a great movie. It's about this couple of girls here. This is not a spoiler, but this you kind of get this from the first, well, opening credits. These two girls are after people to sacrifice. And what they've got to find is they've got to find that they're going through sort of to get they pick these dates up, double date. They pick dates up and they take them back to this old house and they kill them. And that's kind of the story of it. There's a lot more to it than that. And these two gets obviously they're the next victims of these two girls who bring them back to this house. Now, the picture quality in here is again, it's a brand new film, 2017. So it's as I first saw it in Sky Movies, and I thought this is great. This, and I went looking for it on Blu-ray. It wasn't there, and I one day I went in a HMV. I went past and I went, oh, hang on, that's a double date. I'll pick that up. And but the thing about this movie is as well, it's like I'm trying to say it's like a sort of backward home invasion kind of, that you always say it, the blokes doing that, but you never see it, girls doing that. There's a story behind it, but I tell you what, the violence in here is it's so violent. It's one of those movies where you think, I can't believe what I'm seeing. I mean, the things that they're doing to each other when having these fights, between these four is unreal. And it's like a comedy as well. This bloke has been in Ideal, TV show Ideal. He's amazing, dead funny. But he's out of This Is England. He's got that great Nottingham accent. So it's a British film, but it's really good. No one ever talks about it. But if you want a hyper violent and a mean violent movie that's got some style about it, it's got a sort of does a 360 with the characters. You really enjoy that. So that's Double Date. So, tenuous link. Speaking of dates in a house, what about House of the Devil? That was a tenuous link if I ever saw one. This is a Ty West movie. Now, I didn't really realize who Ty West was until he done the amazing Pearl and X. And obviously, Maxine's coming out this year. Can't wait for that. This movie was filmed, I'm going to say it's made to look filmed in 2009. It was made to look like it was made in the 80s, and it really looks like an 80s movie. If you didn't know, and I put it on for, say, the Debs who would not watch this movie, she would say, "Is this from 1980 or 1988?" It's got they all look like that. It's probably meant to be set in that. The actual way that they've filmed it looks like it was actually filmed with 1988 cameras, if that's a way. But this is a great little movie. It's not his best movie. It's not as good as X or Pearl, but it's got some good elements in it. It's got some great jump scenes in it. I'm thinking about another one which took me really by surprise. It happens outside a car. If anybody knows that, not going to go into any details, but if you see it, you'll think, oh, wow, you weren't expecting that. So this film takes place in a house, and this girl answers this advert to be a babysitter, and you wouldn't believe what your babysits. That's what I'll say about that movie, this movie. So anyway, really good, very obscure, kind of people know about it, but they don't talk about it. And I would love to see this get a 4K or get it more recognized than it is, because with Ty West, you would think he was kind of bankable at the minute. So that's House of the Devil. So speaking of black and white movies, which I wasn't, what about this one, Dead of Night? Now, the reason I picked this one out is because it's a Studio Classics, vintage Studio Classics from Studio Canal. Try saying that after 26 pints. And this is filmed in black and white. I think it's from 1945 or thereabouts. And it's a great little film. It's one of these ones where it's got like three movies or three stories in the movie. And it's got this group of people who are going around it and just start swapping stories. And it's a good little film. And it's black and white, pin sharp. It's a kneeling film, I believe, and it's one of those ones. If it's Studio Canal and they do these, they always sort of get these really. This is a great movie that kind of no one talks about, but it's really a really good spooky. This story as well. This story is the best story of the whole lot, about this man with this dummy. Now this has shades of Magic, the Anthony Hopkins movie, all over it. This part anyway. So this movie is quite ahead of its time. I think in 1945 you never got anything like this. And it set the pace for these ones that were, three stories in one, these spooky tales. I just think it's really good. So that's Dead of Night. So the last one, and this has got no link to anything, but I think that this is a franchise that really has to get a 4K, is Final Destination. The Final Destination series at five at the moment, but I think they made a new one, needs to get a 4K, because a 4K upgrade. Because actually, when I put this on, I thought, I bet this looks, because this is an old Blu-ray, I thought, I bet it doesn't look that good, but it looks really good. So if they go back to the elements for these lot and do a really good version on it, 88 could do an amazing box set of this, because it's right up their alley. They seem to be going to this, making box sets of this type of stuff. Now, to me, I would like to see that, but are they going to hang around till the new one comes out? I don't know. But as a franchise goes, I like all of these movies. I think they're all as good as each other. This one's the best one, obviously, but they all follow on in a good way. And I like the premise of that about the fact that these people cheating death and death's coming back for them. I think it's a great sort of story. And I think that actually for me, I don't think that it kind of, I think all the five are watchable. And I like the way they have a massive character arc. I would imagine most people have seen this franchise, and I think it's got a big following. And I don't know why it's not been on 4K yet. Maybe because there's a new one coming out. I'm not too sure. So as you know, I'm a big fan of the 4K medium. Because of movies like Bloodsucking Freaks coming out in 4K, I think that anything's game now. It's just proven that. And I would love to see people taking an interest in more of the obscure ones that could see a really good 4K. So thanks for watching. You take care, and I'll see you on the next video. Cheers.